Welcome, bent riders around the world. My name is Gary Solomon, and you're watching the Laidback Bike Report. Hey guys, we are so happy to have you joining the fun today. We have a jam-packed show for you with lots of information to share, lots of personalities on hand to be with us. So let me start out by telling you a little bit about what's coming up today. We're going to start out, of course, with our pal Honza Galla, the news guy. He's going to have the Recumbent News in 5, which I think is more like 6 minutes today. We have Jonathan Garcia telling us about the new E-Phoenix, the motorized long wheel-based recumbent, and an update on Metabike Performer. Actually, I think Hans is going to tell us about that. We have from Hong Kong, Peter Hui, who is a new Velomobile dealer, and I believe the only dealer of Velomobiles in China. So we look forward to talking to Peter. Back with us from France is Denez Bodennec. Denez, as you may recall from a few months ago, was with us telling us about the DuoQuest, the side-by-side tandem Velomobile, and he is ready to go into production. He's going to tell us about all the updates with the DuoQuest. And the main theme of today's webcast is, in fact, Velomobile. So this is the Velomobile update for 2021, and we're going to have an extensive discussion with some of our favorite Velomobile experts. John Williams is with us today. Josef Janning is with us. And of course, Doug and Nina will be chiming in with their expertise on Velomobiles as well. So we really look forward to that major segment. Then we have a gentleman named Jeff Gindin who is with us, and he's going to talk about a product called Cyclesight, which is a rear video alert system for bicycles, especially useful for recumbents, obviously. And then Doug's coming back and giving us the first in his new series, Mr. Wizard Road Fixes for Your Bent. So I think you'll enjoy that. And then, of course, Nina will be with us talking about the Bicycle of the Future segment. She has an interesting, I think, a book to talk about today. So look forward to seeing that, and a little bit of a short viewer submission as well. So lots to get to today. First of all, let's meet the wonderful Laidback Bike Report crew that's working today. Larry, can you bring everybody up? There we go. So first of all, from Colorado Springs, our director today, fresh from a half marathon, he's still conscious. It's Larry Seidman. Hello, Larry.
Hello, Gary. Everybody else.
It's good to have you. And down in Jackson, Mississippi, as usual, the media man himself, it is Trey Burgoyne. Hey, Trey.
Howdy, everybody.
And all the way from the Czech Republic, it is our news director, the serious and so well received Honza Galla. Hi, Honza.
Hi. It's great to be here. Hi.
And I noticed you matched your background there with the news report background, so it will be seamless. No one will know the difference, I think. So, all right, and down in Big D, Dallas, Texas, it is Doug Davis. Hello, Doug. Doug?
Hey, Gary, I'm out of the shop. I've got to do some work with something right quick, and I'll be right back.
There's Doug Davis actually doing some work and hopefully getting paid for it. So, which he's not getting paid for it on here, so I can't blame him. And lastly, from Champaign-Urbana, Illinois, our pal Nina Paley. Hello, Nina.
Howdy.
We're glad to have you with us. And so we will or we won't have a drawing today.
We will not.
All right. So we won't need to come back to that. I would just forgot to ask you about that. Folks, next, I want to tell you about live chat. So if you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube right now, you can participate in our live chat. We've got a lively community that's watching, and you can get on the live chat, ask questions of our guests. You can ask questions of our panelists. You can chat amongst yourself and the Recumbent community. The community that's on there is always fun to talk to. So please participate in live chat and tell us where you're watching from, and we'll try to put those up on the screen as we can get to them. And we would love for you to support the Laidback Bike Report. We've had some great support lately. You can do it in a lot of ways. You can like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's a little applause button on YouTube. You can hit that and shoot us $1 or $2. And if you click on that little white eye that's going to appear up there, it'll take you to our website. You can find out a lot more about the Laidback Bike Report, how else you can support us. And finally, become a Patreon patron. That would really help us out. We've had quite a few new ones. I'm going to tell you about them at the end of the show. You can do it for as little as $1 a month. All right. We are also supported by some wonderful recumbent businesses every month on the webcast. Let me tell you about them. First of all, it's TerraCycle, makers of exquisite recumbent parts and accessories for your bent, and Trailside Trikes, a fine recumbent trike shop on the Withlacoochee Trail in Florida and now in Knoxville, Tennessee as well. And Cruise Bike, designed for the cyclist who wants to ride farther, climb faster, and adventure more. All cruise bikes and frame sets ship free in the USA. And TerraTrike Green Speed, the best in leisure, performance, adventure, touring, electric, and portability. Wherever your adventure leads, TerraTrike will take you there. And Greenspeed is Ian Sims Designs, bringing you performance through science and engineering. And Laidback Cycles, the top USA dealer for TerraTrike and the premier source for Catrike, Ice, and Greenspeed. We give you the freedom to ride. And Recumbent CycleCon. Please join us at the 2021 Recumbent CycleCon trade show and convention, which will be held October 9th and 10th at the Montgomery County Fairgrounds in Dayton, Ohio. More info at recumbentcyclecon.com. All right, folks, let's get right into the show today by bringing you Honza Galla's news report. It's a really good one. Larry, go ahead and play Honza's report, if you would.
Hello, everybody. Honza Galla from Recumbent.news with January news for you. First two things will be explained by Jonathan Garcia right after me, but I have to mention them because they are really important for the recumbent industry. It's the project of the Runs ePhoenix, which is a recumbent design from ground up as an electric bike. This is something you can hardly see in the recumbent world, and from my side, it's a thumb up for you guys at Rans and Rose City recumbent cycles. The other thing is that Jonathan and his mate Robert bought the Performer distribution in the US, as well as the Metabikes brand from Rob at RBR, Recumbent Bike Riders in Pennsylvania. And so they are going to continue Rob's work, and they are going to continue developing the market for Performer in the US, as well as the Metabikes product. Another news is the release of first video of the DF4 Velomobile, which is another four-wheel Velomobile similar to, let's say, the Velomobile.nl Quattro Velo. But Inte from InterCity Bike has a little bit different approach, a little bit different goal in this project. The main goal is to have a larger cargo area behind the seat. So he doesn't want to have a complex suspension and drivetrain system behind the rear wheel. So there is a different type of suspension and drivetrain. Drivetrain is only on one side, one wheel, and the other wheel would be possibly driven by an electric engine. Also, the wheel wells are open and some other design details are there, of course. Then the other news is that the pod bike, which is another four-wheel velomobile, or let's say a light electric vehicle, announced the prices for the free car model. Well, it's just one model, but they announced it. They are surprisingly low. It is 4,995 euros without the tax and the duty. So probably the cheapest way you can buy it at the end is 6,244 euros if you buy it directly at Podbike in Norway, which is still very, very good price for a complete velomobile with an electric engine. And the last news is that ASUP introduced their pricing for 2021. There is a 3 to 5% increase, and they also have some improvements, some news. Mainly the Shimano Steps EP8 motor will be available, as well as some new colors in the standard range. ASUP is known for having quite a wide range of colors available, either with no upcharge or slide upcharge, and then you can order a color from order RAL chart for an upcharge as well. So they introduced few new colors in the standard range, some glitter colors and neon colors. So those are nice things. Then they will have a new safety flag as well, and they in their core level trikes. The core level trikes are those which can be shipped much sooner, usually in about 2 weeks. There will be 2 colors available for all of them, so either black or the very visible neon yellow color. And lastly, I would like to mention also an article, an interview I did about one of the NGOs in the US called Forgotten Not Gone, because it is also, I don't know about any other purely recumbent non-government organization like this one, or maybe one more, which and the work of Peter and Kelly is amazing. They serve the veterans by borrowing them a trike or a velomobile from their huge fleet of recumbents, and it's a wonderful project, and also a very nice interview I did with Peter, and you can read it on the recumbent.news right now, as well as you can read there some more information about all the news I have mentioned here. So enjoy the rest of the Laidback Bike report, and I will be there as well to comment some of the Velomobile things. So enjoy, and bye for now.
And there he is in person. So Hans, a great report. A couple things I wanted to mention. First of all, folks, Recumbent.news is just a fantastic place. There's never been anything like it that I've seen, in online that's available for you to read the latest and great in-depth reporting on personalities and subjects of real interest to recumbent riders. So Honza does a great job on that. I would encourage you to read it. I would encourage you to subscribe to it. I do, and really get a lot out of it. So Honza works very hard on that. So Honza, a great job on recumbent news. Keep that up, please. Now, I just wanted to mention about Jonathan Garcia. Now, Jonathan has created a video, and we're going to, as Honza mentioned, talk about that ePhoenix in a little bit more depth, and Jonathan will give us a tour of it. The Metabike Performer situation, now, my understanding from what Jonathan told me, they did purchase the Performer USA from Rob, and they are in control of that. But I think Rob still has a half interest in the Metabike thing. Do you know about that? I think he told me that.
No, I'm not sure. Or maybe I missed part of the information somehow, somewhere.
Well, we're going to check on that, and maybe Jonathan will actually show up online here on the chat, and he can clarify for us. So I believe he told me that. So just a little bit of clarification on that. And then as far as the DF4, the quad from InterCity Bike, the quad Velomobile, that's great. And we actually are going to go into a little bit more depth during our segment on Velomobiles. We have that same video that Yimpty posted. So that was good to see that there. Let's talk a little bit more in depth on that. And I have a quote from Yimpty about it as well. So we'll proceed with that. Now, Honza, thank you so much for the report, and we'll have you back here in just a couple of minutes. We'll start discussing Velomobiles. Okay. So bring it back to me if you could, Larry, and I'm going to introduce now a gentleman who is the only Velomobile dealer in Hong Kong and in a great large section of China as well. His name is Peter Hui, and I had the opportunity to talk with Peter a couple of weeks ago, and he will tell us all about his dealership right now. I'm here today with Peter Hui. Hello, Peter.
Hi, Gary. Hi, everybody. Hi.
Everybody is glad to see you, Peter. You're in Hong Kong, and you have an exciting new business to tell us about. If you would, tell us a little bit about yourself first, if you would.
So actually, for myself, before I get into Velomobile, before I'm just a normal, I ride a road bike. I have a Rotovelo, so I ride around in Hong Kong. I like cycling, actually. And then last year, I saw in the news that one guy in Shanghai got stopped by the police in a Velomobile, and they thought that it was a electric bike, so they were not allowed to be on the public roads. So that's how I got into a Velomobile. It was at the look of a Velomobile attracts me, so I got into it, and then I researched and I contact with Velomobile.nl, and that's how I started to know Velomobile. And I asked for a dealership in Hong Kong, so that's pretty much how I got started. I talked with Theo. He gave me a lot of help and tip. Actually, I ordered one for myself and one for my friend. So it was one was the Quest and one was the Strada. So you can see this. That's why my shirt has this too. Is the one that this too was the one that I ordered. So basically, I ordered that, and then when it came in last month in December, I started riding. Well, the deal I had with Velomobile, I know, is in Hong Kong and also a 300-kilometer radius around Hong Kong. So, which also covers some parts of China, which I think that is a bigger market to sell Velomobile and let them explore what it is. Because although they had one in Shanghai, but that's the only one. I think still a lot of people haven't seen what a Velomobile is. So I feel it's exciting to bring this kind of product to China.
So tell me how you intend to market this. What are some of the ideas you have to get the word out about the name of your business, which we haven't even mentioned on your shirt there? Is that right? Velomobile HK?
Yeah. Yes, HK is Hong Kong, basically. That's it. So I think first is in person by me riding on it. So attracts more, and then by people got attention to a Velomobile, I start to explain what it is. A lot of people get excited about when seeing such a new thing around Hong Kong. So they ask me, "Oh, what is this? Is it an electric bike?" And the first thing I tell them is not. It's a totally pedal bike. There's no electric motor in it, so yeah, it's a bike. I tell them it's a trike as well. I was also looking into there's one Australian brand, Trisled. They have the Rotovelo as well, so it's a little bit lower price point, which I think if people would like to test Velomobile, it's a good product as well, because the price point is a bit lower than what Velomobile.nl is offering. That's my plan.
Okay, so if you were to, if there were Velomobile manufacturers watching us today, what would you like to tell them as far as contacting you?
Oh, I think if they would like to explore Hong Kong or the China market, they can come and find me and talk about it and see what are the opportunities are and what I'm capable of helping them to make this product work in China and in Hong Kong.
Very good. All right, Peter, it's been a real treat talking to you, and I really wish you all the luck in the world in getting your business off the ground and rolling. I'm sure after having talked to you a little bit that you're not going to have any problem at all. You have just the right personality, I think, to get this rolling. So we will stay in touch, and we will talk again soon. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
All right, Peter, thank you. He's a great guy. It's like 3:00 in the morning in Hong Kong right now. So we were hoping maybe he'd be on the live chat. Maybe he'll hit us up a little bit later on. So if you have questions for Peter, you might be able to take care of that. But we'll have his contact information, of course, in the description below the video after this. I wanted to thank Velomobile Nord for the €5 super chat. We appreciate that. It's great to see you guys watching. Very much appreciated. So, all right, folks, let's move along now to our next guest. It is Denez Bodennec. As I said earlier in the show, he had been on a couple of months ago talking about that DuoQuest, and he has got some updates for you going into production, I believe. So, Larry, if you're ready, go ahead and let's hear from Denez. All right, guys, we are here today with Denez Bodennec from France. Denez, how are you today?
Fine. I'm fine. Today was a sunny day, so it's okay.
Denez has an amazing creation that he has been working on for a few years. He's been on the show before, and we're going to get updated. What Denez works on is something called the DuoQuest, and it is a tandem quest, a tandem velomobile. Can you tell us a little bit about the history of the DuoQuest?
Theo from Velomobile asked me in 2019 if I can build one. It was in January, if I remember well. So I say yes, if I can also build a second for me. And during that time, I built also a second one, which is a little bit different.
So, Denez, at some point, you decided that you wanted to actually manufacture the DuoQuest for selling to other folks. So, when did you decide to do that, and how is that going?
We decided to build more DuoQuest after in last summer, in fact. So I have to make a micro factory for that. Because some people seem to be interested in. So now the micro factory is ready to start. I think I will start February. I said I can build 2 per year, but it depends of the time it will take to make the body. And Theo told me that if there is 20 order, we'll send that to Romania to build.
You'll send it. Oh, I see. So once you get to 20 a year, you'll send it to Jan in Velomobile World in Romania. You'll love that, I'm sure. Denez, can you tell me what material you use to make the DuoQuest?
We use only carbon on epoxy resin. And after paint, all the internal material are from Quest, except the front suspension, which are specific because the suspension are more strong.
Can you give us an idea about the size and the dimensions?
The length is 2.85 meter. The width is 1.25. The weight without assist should be between 45 and 50 kilogram.
All right. And now the regular Quest, the single Quest, is a 3-wheeled Velomobile. Now the DuoQuest, is it also 3 wheels or is it 4?
No, it is 4-wheel because we have 2 chain line which go from the crankset to the rear wheel. The drivetrain is similar to Quest drivetrain, except we have only 10 speed. Because we cannot put 11 speed because the body of Quest was modified.
So there are 2 sets of pedals, and you have a mechanism to bring the power together to drive the rear wheels?
Yes, but each one gives the power to one rear wheel.
Dennis, there are 2 sets of controls, one for each drivers. Each has his own tiller. Are the controls the same on each side?
Yes. If I turn my tiller, by example, the other tiller will also turn, but it's angled by an elastic to the body, the tiller which is not used. And so there is no problem, in fact, with that.
Tell me about the electrical aspects of this vehicle.
Electrical is in fact similar to Quest, but I asked Theo to give me to send me the electric system of Quatrovelo because it's more close. Because here I have to add some LED and so on. 2 front light, 4 LED, 3 LED for brake, and also turn light, like similar to Velomobile, in fact.
Speaking of electricals, let's talk about the e-assist possibilities with the DuoQuest. Have you built an e-assisted DuoQuest yet, or have you been requested to build an e-assist DuoQuest?
The 2 DuoQuest I built have e-assist, so it's there is a motor in each front wheel. It's very nice. It's a very nice e-assist, in fact. This motor is designed to be only supported on one side and with disc brake.
Can you tell us about those access hatches?
I am very fond of access hatch. I don't know why, but I have made that first on my Wo, after on my Quatrovelo, on the Quest XS of my wife. And now on the DuoQuest is much more necessary for me because on a standard Velomobile, a single Velomobile, you can put it on the side, but here it's not really possible because it's very wide, and so it's better to have an access to the mechanic on the top. I have also a rack in the front, so it's okay. For me, it's a good thing.
What is the basic pricing of the DuoQuest?
12,900 euro.
So if I want to order a DuoQuest, how long is it going to take for me to get it?
Good question. So if you are a third, maybe 1 year and a half.
So 12 to 18 months at this point, it sounds like. So what about future modifications? Do you have some ideas about some future changes you may make?
Yes, I want to modify the top body to have a best visibility on the front first, and second to have like a gutter for water,
Right, and we have a sketch that you made that we'll be showing
Yes.
here that so people can see how you can indent, make a gully, as you say, there towards the middle for both visibility and also for allowing the water from rainfall. All right, Dennis. So I want to thank you very much for returning to the Laidback Bike Report to tell us what's going on with the DuoQuest. It's an amazing machine. We look forward to seeing them on the road and catching up with you later on, and we'll see what the future of the DuoQuest holds. So, Dennis, thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye, Gary.
Wow, the DuoQuest, that's a beast of a machine. Yes, we got a comment here from Mike Smith. He saw the DuoQuest from Velomobile.nl a couple of years ago. Cool idea, just not for riding on bike paths. Absolutely the case. And in fact, Dennis was talking about that. We didn't include it in that video, but in France, where the two VeloQuests are right now, really not a whole lot of bike paths available. They ride in the streets, and for riding in the streets, he says people give them a lot of space, courteous drivers, and that's kind of how he envisioned it. So I guess something to keep in mind if you're going to get a DuoQuest. DuoQuest is where you're going to ride it. In any case, thank you very much, Dennis. It was great talking to you. Let's now move into the main segment. And Larry, if you can bring our experts on, Doug and John, Nina, and Honza, we're going to all be here to share our thoughts about Velomobiles. Now, I'm going to open this up by kind of quoting Doug Davis when we were talking about putting this segment together. Doug says that Velomobiles are rolling experiments. There's lots of ways to talk about Velomobiles, but that's a good one, and especially appropriate for today's discussion because this is not a comprehensive look at all the Velomobiles that are out there. It's kind of an update. So we're looking and seeing what's new, what innovations have been made for the most part, and that's where we go. So first of all, John Williams from Velo Ads in London. John, how are you doing, pal? It's good to see you. Can you? Oh, don't forget to unmute yourself, John. There you go. Let's hear that melodious voice.
Hi, Gary. Good to see you, and really great to be on the show.
Yeah, I think that's probably exactly what you had said when you were muted. So it's good to have you. It's really good to have you with us. And back after a little hiatus, it's really great to have Josef Janning back from Germany. Hi, Joseph. How are you?
Hi, Gary. I'm fine. I hope you are as good as me at this point in time. You know, where the entire north of myself in this country is covered with snow, but we're clear here.
Yeah, we're very cold here, but actually a sunny day. We got snow coming too. But yeah, a little bit of a problem. I know I talked to Nina earlier. She wanted to take a Velomobile ride today, but Nina, it's so cold in Illinois right now that even too cold for you. The only one it might not be too cold for is the guy is laughing right there in the middle.
Yeah.
Let's not get into that right now. We have an update to talk about here, fellas. So yeah, Honza is with us, and Doug. Doug, it's great to have you with us for this as well. So let's get into it, guys. We're going to go through a few products, and we're going to start out with the Snoek from Velomobile.nl. And I'm going to start out with a quote that I got from Teo. This is from February 21st, and he said, "Hey, Gary, the Snoek is so successful that we have to put a lot of time into it now. There are 27 orders for it as of today. It will be produced in Romania, but we have to get all the molds ready and make protos and drawings for metalwork parts, etc." So that was from Teo. So let's start maybe with the slides. Larry, can we hit that slide number 13? I think is the first one that we need. There we go, and there is the Snoek. Now, let me tell you what Teo told me about it, and then we're going to open it up to our experts to talk about it here. So the Snoek has about a 20% smaller frontal area than the Quest XS. The wheel sizes are 20-inch 406 in the front and a 700C in the rear. And according to Velomobile.nl, according to Teo, this is the most efficient Velo ever. So there you go. You see some comparison shots here. Let's start with the panel. Bring them up along the side, if you would, Larry. Beautiful. And Maybe Joseph, if we can start with you, is this the most efficient Velo ever?
Well, we'll see. It certainly is going to be the most efficient that Velomobile.nl has ever built. Because this is now the smallest, the lowest, the leanest, and probably also the lightest model that they have created. Unfortunately, it won't be for me, because I think you need to be below 175 centimeters, so 1 meter 75 centimeters to properly fit into that model. And that was the origin of the Snoek. It was created for Eva Jacobs, a female rider.
Yeah, and in fact, I think, I'm sorry, Joseph,
170, I guess, or 168 or so.
I think we have a video. Larry, you want to hit that Snoek video and continue, Joseph? I think it's up there, actually.
And actually,
Joseph, you guys need to unmute yourself so you can talk over it. It's okay.
Actually, as you can see, most Velomobiles are created for taller male riders, which means that a lot of the interested female riders don't find a model that really suits their size and interests. And the Quest XS so far was the smallest available. There was the regular DF, but the Snoek is even better designed to correspond with the needs of people. That's around 170 centimeters. And I think that will be one of the major attractions for all of the people in that size range. They get a model that is highly competitive and is state of the art.
Okay, great. Who else? John, you have something to add to that?
I'm really excited by that model. I've ordered one, even though I don't know whether I'll fit in it or not. And one way or another, Gary, I will fit into that bike.
The question will only be: will you be extracted from it by someone else, or
product around it?
Right.
Get me out.
Yeah, they have those things in Europe where you push down in the toilet and pull it out.
Yes, exactly.
That is what it might take. And Nina, do you have any comments? Being a woman of some smaller stature, would that be something you'd be interested in?
Heck yeah. When I read about the Snoek, I was like, send me one. I would love to try that thing. I don't think I can afford to buy one, but boy, would I love to test it out here.
It's a beautiful looking Velo for
My
sure.
only concern would be the low clearance, because roads here are
chunky style.
They're chunky, yes. and my Mango, which I guess has a high clearance for a Velomobile, it still occasionally scrapes on things around here. So I'm a little worried about that.
That's what I saw originally on it. There were two things I noticed on the design. Gary, I don't know if you caught this on the video or not. Look at the mirror on the Snoek. The mirror is a new design. It's really interesting. And then you can't see it on this, but if you looked at the video on it, there's a really interesting design for the mirror on it, which is very, very aerodynamic and very low profile, which also, if you look at the height of that nose, it is very low. It reminds me of my Milan.
Hang on, let's go ahead. I'll play it and stop it. We won't go through the whole thing again.
Yeah, play the video.
But don't forget to unmute yourself.
So if you look at this, when she gets there, take a look at that mirror. It's embedded into the shell.
Oh, on the left side there, yeah. Okay.
So there's two things on this Velomobile that are interesting: that mirror and the access hatch. Those are both new designs.
Of the Orca mirror.
Right. Yeah, you see some influence from the Orca for sure, and you can see some whim influence on the top. Yeah. That looks like some stuff that Wynn had done. See the little rain gutter on the top of that?
Yeah.
So there's a couple of really interesting things that you see there, and it almost looks like it's Velcro on the window. So they may have a closable cover for that. So there's a rain gutter, there's a Velcro. So a lot of innovations that have kind of worked their way through to this model.
Well, I know that they reckon around 178 centimeters. That's the maximum height for a rider, or 180 at a push, which I am. So we'll see. But hopefully in 2 years, roughly, they'll be making a larger model. which will fit taller riders in. So we've got a bit of a wait if we can't actually fit into that one.
Well, definitely what we can say, what has happened already with the Snoek is that it has pushed the development of the Quest 3.0 to the back. You know? This was 2 years back. That was the hottest news they were producing. And they were already showing the first designs with that tail fin and a front that looked like the Rotovelo. But now, since the demand for the Snoek has skyrocketed in their books, they have actually now put the Quest 3.0 on the back and are pursuing the Snoek as a priority.
Larry, go ahead and hit that next slide. Joseph, I'm going to call you Mr. Segway. I can't believe how perfect that was. That is exactly where we're going next. Let me tell you what Teo said about the Quest 3.0, which had been anticipated. It's exactly as Joseph said. Also on February 21st, here's what Teo told me. The Quest 3.0 is parked at this moment. It will be developed further, hopefully around spring. The primal positive mold is 95% ready. And when done, we can start making the negative molds. So that's, and he says, greetings, Teo. So we're glad to have that from Teo. So I don't think we need to spend too much time then on the 3.0. Anybody have anything they want to mention about the 3.0 before it does come out? Okay.
No, I just wanted to say that they must be really surprised about the demand for the Snoek, because it was originally really, it should be just a bike for EVA for racing. So it's a racing vehicle, and they didn't expect to produce them and have it in normal offer. So they said they will do it in batches, 10 units or 15 units a time. But now, and they expected to have it in Holland, in Netherlands, to build it. And now, when they decided to move it to Romania, it's a big thing for them then.
Yeah. If they're turning it over to Jan in Romania, you know they're looking for some big numbers. That makes sense, doesn't it? Okay, thank you, Honza. All right, so let's move along then to the Milan, the MK7. We can take a look. There were some developments here from the previous Milan. Doug, I think if we can, we'll start with you and tell us the story of what's happening with the Milan right now.
Well, I mean, there's a lot. I mean, Milan has gone through in the last 3 or 4 years a lot of evolution. Since it's moved over to Romania, there's been 3 or 4, fairly, I wouldn't call them minor, but not quite major changes in the system. And now it looks like it's moved to more of a standardized Velomobile internals. So they've inherited a lot of stuff from other Velomobiles in the Milan design. Some of it's probably going to be very good. I think when they've picked up the DF swing arm. They've reinforced the floor. The derailleur system is different now. So there's a lot of little bitty improvements all together that have added up to what should be a much nicer machine. I also understand that they've kind of gone and put a railing system in there. If you've ever seen a Milan, the floor was kind of interesting, and so I think they've improved that quite a bit now too. So it'll be quite something to look at. It was always the fastest Velomobile out there, notwithstanding what the Snoek may be able to do. But the Milan itself is certainly the fastest of them all. But it had a lot of trade-offs, and we'll have to see if the changes mitigate some of those trade-offs.
All right. Who else wants to chime in here on the Milan? Go ahead.
A couple of things. They've sort of redesigned the rear wheel arch as well. So. Yeah. Apparently that minimizes resonance and noise from the rear wheel, which you could hear on the older models. So hopefully that will quieten that down a bit.
But more importantly, John, it will also allow for a 12-speed cassette to be put in. No?
Yeah.
Which was one of the reasons to redesign it. I think the noise reduction is a collateral that they were looking for, but I think the 12-speed, that's what the customers have been really asking about.
Well, it's not so much a 12-speed. They wanted a taller gear.
Yeah.
That's really what they wanted. The 12-speed is a nice side effect of that, but it gets you a bigger gear range in general.
Right. Which allows you, in fact, for a racing machine to go with a single chain wheel in front,
Right.
And with the big, either 1140 or even 1152 cassette in the back.
Yeah, so that's the standard racing configuration that they want to produce is that 1152 with something like a 65 or a 70 in the front.
Yeah, and the 584 rear wheel now option as well.
Yeah, and the 58 that's common across all these nowadays is that 584 option, which is really good.
But they're also using the damper of the DF, which also means that they need a new position to. For the damper to hold, which has the additional benefit of creating this extra little platform that the DFs have. So you have some more storage space now, like you have in the DF, also in the Milan.
Did I space out and not hear it, or I have a list of things to talk about for the MK7. I didn't hear Doug talking about this. First of all, about the status of it, with the production being stopped for the updates. Did you already talk about that, Doug?
I didn't really mention that. No.
I have that from them that they temporarily stopped the production to make these improvements you guys are talking about, and they plan to resume in late February and start in early March. Sound level, you guys, I did hear you talk about that. The rear swing arm is going to be improved.
Service hatch at the front, that's new.
Service hatch in the front, that's
which is a game changer. Yeah.
Okay. Floor reinforcement.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Doug mentioned that.
Yeah, that's important. If you ever had a Milan, you'd know why.
And
for the SL, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And
a new rear derailleur hood on the underbody. So go ahead. And what else have I? You can elaborate on what I just talked about, or you have
Gary, the service hatch will allow to also include an air intake there, so you can, with the service hatch, you can have an additional air intake, which I think for the Milan is much needed, because other than a bit of air that comes in through the front lights, there is no front air intake on the Milan.
Trey, don't we? I think we have one more shot of Milan. Do we not? It says 16. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You can. There's a rear shot of the old one.
I do find that no matter what, even if you have the visor completely closed in the Milan, you do get a lot of cold air around the back of your neck coming through the sides of the hood there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when the weather's cold, I just keep the visor shut.
But John, is it good enough to keep the visor clear? Or does it get to the visor at all when it comes into from the back?
Not really. Maybe the side window. It usually steams up when you stop.
Yeah.
Traffic lights or what have you. Yeah.
It's got a little bit of a vacuum that it pulls right along that edge, and that pulls some air in. And you're getting that actually, I haven't smoke tested it, but I'm pretty sure it's because of the opens in the back. So as you're moving along, you're pulling a vacuum on those side the side ridges, and that it does clear up the side. It does not clear up the front at all. But there's a couple of ways to fix that visor so it keeps it clear as long as you're moving. But if you stop in the weather and the humidity is like it is, you're going to get a sauna, and it just every time fogs up.
And Velomobile North says modified seat support and different seat sizes. Thank you, Velomobile North.
That's another issue. You will have the be more adaptable. You will be able to mount more seat variations in the Milan than before, which has to do with the fact that the Milan seat stay in the back, or the entire mounting system was rather unique.
Yeah,
and this is one of the advantages when you have a factory like the one in Romania, where you're producing side by side a couple of different Velomobiles, but then actually people look into these models and say, why are we doing it this way here, an entirely different way over in the next model? And once you start comparing, then I think the more adaptable system will always win, because this is what you have in the real world. You have riders of different sizes, of different needs, of different backs, and they would want a seat that fits them well, even after 6 or 8 or 9 hours in the seat.
For sure. All right, folks, let's, I think, maybe move on then to the DF. Let's go to the next slide. We're not going to have much to say about the regular DF because, as I understand from Doug, there's really not much new to say about the DF itself. And so there it is, beautiful.
There's a couple of small things like the larger rear wheel, which all these Velomobiles have now kind of inherited. The 584, or what we would call a 700C on this side of the world, being able to get those standard in almost all the models now is really critical, because there just aren't that many good street 26-inch tires around. But there's a plethora of 700C streetable tires that are really, really good. I mean, they're some of the new ones we get from like Vittoria are just fantastic tires, and they're noticeably quicker. So having that option on all these models is improving things. So yeah, I mean that's about it on the DF. The wheel pants are available now. So, and there's a few other little modifications inside to just kind of improve things, but nothing major at this point.
All right, let's move on to the DF4, which you had a nice introduction to in Hans's news report. Larry, go ahead and play that video again, and I'll tell you what Yimpty had to say about it. Okay, so Yimpty says from InterCity Bikes, "Hello, Gary. We are testing a prototype now. Rear wheel suspension is totally new. It works well, but it is too early to say anything about production start and price. It's fun to ride and to test, but we are just testing concepts. Cannot tell how, when, and if it will be produced. Regards, Yimpty." So, guys, besides what Yimpty just said and what Hansa introduced, Hansa gave a nice little rundown of it. Anything else to add that you know about the DF4 that you want to say? And if not, we will. That's okay, because it was really well covered. Great.
When I look at it, I think one of the most interesting things about it, and the question is, will it enter serial production with this? Is the rear rear axle construction? As it stands now, the DF4 will have sort of a single rear suspension arm for each of the wheels, which makes for an entire different construction in the rear. Not this very complex, very difficult, and sometimes also error-prone system that the Rotovelo has, which was an entirely new development, but sort of an adaptation of a single-side swing arm for both sides, which then has sort of a human drive on the one side and could have an e-assist on the other side. That, I think, would be a very interesting innovation in the field.
And it is a two-wheel drive, yes?
It's a single.
Oh, single drive. Okay,
it's an either or. The way it was supposed to be designed was one side was supposed to be human powered, and the other side was either a trailer or a passive wheel, or could be adapted with an e-assist.
Okay, good question, Alan. Thank you. Good to see you here.
I suppose it's quite interesting that all four wheels are open as well. It doesn't look as aesthetically pleasing as, say, something like a Quattrovello or Milan, where it's completely covered. But I can understand why he's gone down that route, because just ease of maintenance. And to be
clear, this is the original, or one of the very first prototypes we saw at Spezi before the one that you saw in the video. So that's what you're talking about there. Okay,
and they've got 4 drum brakes all around as well, which is.
I think they are already very far with the development. So when Inte says it's just testing the concept, it's maybe testing the concept of some of the parts, but they are really going to produce it sooner or later, because it's very far now.
And they see the market, right? I mean, I'm sure Yimpty sees the market for the Quattrovello, and he's been thinking about this and working on it for a long time. So, makes sense.
Is there really an arm in the for the rear wheel? I think it's just a way new system of suspension, like what you could see on the picture I posted. It was like going in the rails up and down.
Yeah, it looks like
there is even not an arm there. Like
I think it's an elastomer setup.
Yeah,
but Honza, you still need one point where you create a fixed position on the shell. And
but
I don't know if you can do it any other way than with an arm.
If you look at after the show ends and we look, you can look at my part. There is or on the Recumbent.news, there is the picture of the suspension, and you
Yes,
can
I've seen that
understand
one.
it.
I've seen that one.
So I don't think there is a really an arm, like it goes up and down in those two rails. So
Yes, it does, but it still needs to be fixed to the shell at some point. You can't just have it on elastomers.
Yeah, it has to be some kind of diagonal there.
Right.
Okay.
All right. We will investigate that further, and I think maybe we'll move along then to the WOW at this point. And let's get we have a few slides of the WOW, and so while we see those, I'm going to read to you what Stefan has sent me, and I think Stefan is with us actually today on chat too, so we may be able to ask him further questions. Okay. We have been able to continue to work and manage to balance our different activities so that there has always been work for the employees. It has been complicated, but this crisis year has caused no damage at all, and as a company, we continue to develop. The sales of WOW have been good. We registered 53 sales in 2020, although we had March through May 2020 months with almost no sales and a very slow autumn due to COVID-19. My estimation is that of all the brands on the market, the WOW will again be the second best sold Velomobile in 2020, like it was in 2019. The WOW is a mature product, and there have been only a limited number of technical changes. After having tested out several new features, we have updated our price option list to improve the ability to configure a WOW based on its intended use. Sportive configurations can now select lighter wheels, performance tubeless tires, 700C rear wheel, and a larger range of cassettes up to a 1142 tooth. For configurations where durability is important, one can now select heavy-duty parts like a stronger rear fork, idlers with steel cogs, more robust suspension rods, or even a pinion transmission. Customers appreciate the WOW for the practical solutions that it offers. One called it the Toyota of Velomobiles, referring to the reputation that Toyota has built in durability and attention to easy repair and maintenance. Some use the WOW for extremes, like the 3 WOWs, which will participate in the Sun Trip 2021. And I think we've got pictures of that. Yep, there we go. More positive news is the arrival of Irina on our sales support team and the shipping of a sea container filled with WOWs and our new Pony 4s to our dealers in the USA, known as Bicycle Evolution. Oh, yeah, I've heard of that guy. Yeah. So let me just quickly tell you about the Pony. We're not going to spend too much time on it because it's not a Velomobile. The Pony 4 is a joint initiative of 2 German and 1 Czech company, Velomo, Flavo International, and Katanga. Sales for this promising product have started recently, and you can find out more at www.pony4.bike, and I'll put that in the description below. Good luck and take care, Stefan Boving. So thank you, Stefan, for sending that to us. And okay, let's bring back the panel. And Doug, you want to start out telling us about the WOW? There's not a whole lot new, as he says, but everything he says there is true. So what do you know about it?
There's been a lot of improvements. Again, the 700C wheel shows up on this one as well as a feature. So that's a good one. I don't know where his numbers are on second most sold. We sell more WOWs than any other Velomobile in pretty much almost all of them combined these days.
Do you think the Quest is the?
Well, that's the best sold overall, probably.
Yeah.
Just because surely because of its age.
Yeah.
But I mean, year over year, the WOW seems to sell quite a bit more, mainly because everybody who gets interested in them tends to fall along a certain social demographic of being more of a tinkerer, more of an engineer, and they want to be able to take it apart and work on it. And this is one of the easiest Velomobiles to work on. It has mostly standard bike parts in it. So
comes apart.
And it comes apart well, and you can take it to a bike shop if you can't figure it out. And after you pick the mechanic up off the floor and pat him on the back and tell him it's really just a bike, then he can, that's how it works. I mean, And you know, he can get his normal bike tools and fix most things after you pull the shell off of it and show it that there's really a bike inside of it.
And there's Stefan. So hello back, Stefan. We're glad to have you with us here. If you have any comments, just throw them in there.
Yep. So, but you know, anyway, the interesting things we showed this on our Velomobile thing is how wide a variability we can fit riders in these things. That's the other thing about it, as far as the one bike that you can fit nearly anybody in. This is it. And we showed on the video where we took somebody who was 4'11" and then set the same bike up for somebody who was 6'7". I mean, the same bike could take both riders with nothing more than an usual set of adjustments. And that's, you know, that in itself makes it very practical, because a lot of people will, at least lately we've seen where they'll buy a bike for one, but they'll have a second rider, and they'll want a quick change in the seat adjustment so they can have their friend or their in one case a father and child and son will ride riders. So that makes a big difference too. And then, you know, the repairability and the other things, because the panels come off and you can, you know, if you have problems with them, we can get new panels and replace them, or you know, ship the pieces around versus ship the whole Velo around. That's there's one other thing. They did put a hub motor in it now. So the Wall has always had a mid-drive motor for it. Now there's a hub motor that's available for it. So there is that as well. I think that's all I've got on my list.
Okay. Anybody else?
Well, it's very interesting, Gary, to see. You know, when you hear Doug describing it, you can see that the Wall really appeals to the customer base that Doug will find in the U.S. You know, when I look around, you know, in my area, we have dozens of Velomobiles, and we often get together and ride, and rarely is there more than one Wow among them. You know,
But
I think when you're in an environment where Velomobiles are relatively rare, I think it is much more reassuring that you can take the rear off, you can take the front off. You work with a lot of standard bike parts. You have to do a lot of the things yourself because there is no dealer anywhere near you, given the dimensions of Northern America. Very different from here, where you have, you know, established communities which tend to reinforce certain things. And I believe that the WOW started out as being among the faster Velomobiles. And now when I look around here, I think a lot of the guys that I ride with would not consider a WOW because they believe that the model that they are pursuing or that they are actually riding is faster.
It's all about
and
speed
that's
nowadays.
and that's what they're about, speed. You know.
Would you say it's fair that you would tend to choose a WOW as a first Velomobile if you were? Are some of those guys that are riding that you're talking about, Joseph, that you ride with, would they have chosen a WOW maybe to start out with, and now they've moved on?
You know, here you have an opportunity. If there's a guy who just found out about, which happens to me almost every week, that somebody comes and says, "I've never seen that. It's so interesting. And can I have a look?" And sometimes I let people try. Sometimes I invite them to go to our meetings, and then they are overwhelmed, and which basically directs them to a certain base, and then they won't need it. But when you are there somewhere, whether it's Indiana or Oregon, and there's within the next 500 miles, there's not a single other Velomobile around, you may want to play it safe. You know, you may want to go for a model that you can actually take apart and access, because you cannot imagine to service anything through footholds or through that manhole that you have to dive into.
Right. I can second that, because maintenance is the most difficult challenge I face as a mango owner in central Illinois.
Well, did you have the surgery where you have the second joint put in right here?
So you reach around.
Yeah. Well,
Nina does great with it.
The manhole's an interesting one, because people ask me how we do things, and every once in a while somebody will come in the shop and I'll have one set up so I can work on it. They're hung upside down, so I can just stand up and reach up there in there and do the work. And you know, and I need to next time I hang one, I'll get you a picture of it so we can show it on the show. But that's literally how we do a lot of the work, is standing up inside the bike. And it's just a lot easier to do it that way than it is to try to reach through the manhole or reach through the footwells.
Okay. Honza, you had something, I think you sound like you earlier on, you were going to say something?
Yeah, well, I think that in Europe the brands like Velomobile.nl and Milan, they have the reputation, and there is a lot of discussion on the German Velomobile forum and so on and so on. So people are more tend to buy those brands instead of in the US. It's quite a new thing still. Velomobiles, and so people choose what they really think is the best for them without any
the most basic, the most practical, the most flexible in terms of what it might be able to do. I think
without any brand impact.
One of the main questions I get from potential purchasers is, which model is the fastest? That's all they're interested in, And it's not about comfort and I'm like, well, how tall are you? How much do you weigh? Well, you definitely will not be able to fit into that bike, and they still buy it anyway.
So you're going to, apparently.
They're like, I'll just lose 10 kilos before the bike turns up. I'm like, wow, that's commitment.
So Doug, how do you do it that people buy WoW from you instead of other things?
Oh, I mean, we have them all here, which is part
point.
That's a Texas thing.
Do they have a better margin?
We have them all here, and people tend to come in. I say almost primarily they're a trike rider already, and they want to go faster, and primarily they will either do their own maintenance or they'll have somebody that's doing their own maintenance, or maintenance is a big concern because they are a rider. They didn't just walk in off the street and decide to jump into these. They're riding something today. So that becomes a part of the conversation. And some of them are willing to look at the various YouTube videos that we've all done and or talk to us about it. And they'll jump in because they need a specific model for speed, or they need a specific model for touring, or they need a specific model, for something. Other than that, they tend to cluster around, I just want a faster trike. And that tends to be the buying mentality of most of the customers we come in here, or I want an enclosed trike because I'm commuting with it and I'm getting wet. Those are really kind of two demographics we see the most of. There is a layer of I want to go fast that's starting to grow. Some of the go fast guys like myself showing up at the events have created a little bit of a culture now of people that want to go fast, and they're fixated on one of three Velomobiles, and they don't care about anything else. They either want an Alpha 7, a Milan, or a DF. And nothing else is on the radar when they come in, and those I like because then I actually get some exercise when I go riding with them. But they'll come in and they'll spend 2 or 3 days, and they'll do 40, 50 miles on each model.
But Doug, look at John and me. The two of us could probably hide behind one of your standard customers.
Well, true.
Because my impression is that these people tend to be, tall, wide shoulders, muscular, and trying
Texas
to squeeze, Texas style, like a T-bone steak.
Right. Well,
whereas, over here, the prototypical Velomobile rider tends to be the sort of the skinny leptosome type. That sort of is like an eel of fiddling into or going through the manhole of one of these Velomobiles.
Well, it's kind of like pushing a grape through a straw, but
I'm getting images that I'm going to have trouble getting out of my head tonight when I go to bed. So
I've got to say that, I love being a female Velomobile rider because these things are overbuilt for me, right? I read these stories about men breaking their chains and breaking this and breaking that in their Velomobile, and I'm not particularly strong. It's easy for me to get in and out, and I'm just not going to break it. It's made for much higher wattage than I put out.
Well, I remember the first time when I went to the Amsterdam the first time and went and visited everybody, and all of the guys in these various companies got to see me firsthand, and I'm a big guy, and I put out a lot of watts, and the funniest thing was when I went to center, and Harry says, now I understand why you break the bike all the time.
And you do. All right, guys, let's move along here. We've got a bunch more to get to. I think it's time. We're going to stay in this category of kind of practical, even maybe more practical velomobiles. Let's head down to Australia and the Trisled. We have a slide. I think I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to share what Ben Goodall, the owner of Trisled, who makes the Rotovelo, had to say. And here's what it is. We are still working away frantically on the Rotovelo amongst our many other projects. We've now completed our work in developing more advanced polymers and upgrades to the molding process. As a result, all Rotovelos produced from November 2020 are a whopping 4.5 kilograms lighter than the old model, with the standard spec coming in at 29.8 kilograms. We have a host of other refinements we will be including in our next production run in March. Buyers are advised to get their order in by the 20th of February to make it into this run. We will be releasing more details of Rotovelo's new exciting features soon once our testing is complete. Cheers, Ben. So, all right, let's bring the panel back. Doug, if you wouldn't mind, describe for those who don't know what a Rotovelo is. It's quite a different velomobile.
Well, I mean, it's a rotomolded, or as some people have called them, rolling trash cans, because you tend to have the trash cans around here run by that. But I mean, they're fantastic bikes. I'm really looking forward to seeing where this one evolves, because it may be that this technique that they build them with is the way we finally get a priceable, price conscious, price affordable velomobile here that's usable and and has the performance that people are looking for. I mean, I've got one of these things myself, and it's not appreciably faster than my trikes. So, but there's a lot of reasons for that. One is it's insanely heavy. It's open at the bottom. There's a bunch of things about it. But everything Ben has talked about that I've heard all says this thing's going to get better. And if it gets better, it's going to be something to look forward to, because there's a lot to this that makes it worthwhile.
And the manufacturing process is going to allow them to continue to keep the price lower than any other velomobile because of the nature of the plastic and the molding such.
Well, particularly if they would really go for high numbers, because that's where roto molding really has an advantage. You could produce thousands of these things at no extra cost in much shorter time than you can laminate any of the other velomobiles. But I believe, Doug would know that better. In order to really make it a competitive model, you have to get rid of the idea of putting a trike into a shell.
Right.
You have to modify the shell so that it can actually, you can attach the drivetrain and the wheels to it, the struts to it, rather than having to deal with a standard trike that you put inside a shell that should be supporting. That should be the supporting structure.
Yeah, the roto-molded stuff is very flexible, which is part of the issue. So if they can figure out some of the solutions to that and turn this into a monocoque, it's going to be a fantastic machine.
And I know you've talked to Ben, haven't you, about this?
Yeah,
so it might be interesting.
And some other engineers around here that are thinking the same way. I mean, there's a way to get this done. We just haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting avenue. Okay.
The only thing about the Rotovelo that has kept me from pursuing getting one is that the chain is open, and other velomobiles protected.
The whole bottom's open.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole bottom's open, and it's just not. It's not as. It's a shell on a trike today. I mean, not to be offensive about it. That's what it is.
And there's no suspension.
There's no suspension.
When I rode it, yeah.
It's noisy. You get everything on the ground gets thrown up inside the shell to visit you.
Yeah.
It's cold in the winter inside.
Yeah,
it's cold in the winter, hot in the summer,
and a really good view of roadkill.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Although it is a safe velomobile because the structure of that plastic. I mean, it's pretty much.
You can bump it into anything. Yeah.
So hopefully you won't become roadkill.
I understand you can play ice hockey with these things, right?
You've seen that video.
Yeah.
I think we showed that on when Ben was on actually. So all right, guys, let's go ahead and move along here to.
I'm waiting for that to become a sport. I'm in.
It's okay. We will keep that in mind. Let's move on to the Hilgo. Can we get that next? We have a couple of shots here. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time. The Hilgo was kind of down for the count. We hadn't seen much of anything for a while, and now apparently it's coming back. Doug, tell us what you know.
So that's what I understand too. They've had some, what I've heard from Melvin and areas. They've had supply chain issues. They've had other issues. There haven't been very many of them made. We're hoping to see the new variant of it here soon. 3 weeks ago, I got an email from Melvin saying that it was on this, they were almost done. This one I think is going to make it be an interesting run at the WA, because it's the top is completely removable. And so you can take the top off of it within a few minutes. You can pull the top off, and you can get to all the things. So you've got a very easily maintainable system. And if the viewers recall, this one has that innovative shifting system. It had a linear drive shifting, which is unique for Velomobiles because the shifting system is mounted along the bottom under the seat. And having ridden one of these things, it's really interesting. How it feels to shift. It's almost like riding a CVT. You can kind of dial up the speed, the gear ratio you want, and dial it back down very quickly and very easily without all the fiddling about with the derailleurs that you're used to. So that's very interesting. It's also the shortest Velomobile out there, or should be the shortest Velomobile. And what is interesting about that is we've had a number of like motorhome customers, these people, that have large motorhomes, and they want to take the Velomo with them, and the Mango will barely fit in the basement of some of the bigger motorhomes. This one should easily fit. So what they'd call caravans there in the Europe. And so there's definitely going to be some interest in this one.
It's an important feature. I mean, it's something that we don't talk that much about, but
I think it's one of the most important features there. Whether you want to store it inside a car or inside a motorhome, it needs to be under 250 in Europe, and that I think the Hilgo does that, and so you can. It is in that sense is very practical. While all the other Velomobiles, as fast as they may be and as sleek as they may be designed, like the Alpha 7 we were going to talk about, they are not as short as this one is.
All right. Let's let's move along to the Alpha 7. You've done it again, Joseph.
Speaking of rolling experiments.
Let's talk about the what Doug, you called the Alpha 7 2.0. Tell us what the updates are that you know about for the Alpha 7.
There's a lot of updates in there. All of them small. There's just, so this, I guess the fairest way to say this is the Alpha 7 was Daniel Finn's attempt at an ultralight racing Velomobile, and he succeeded. But there was a huge number of trade-offs in this Velomobile that we've all learned from. Some things have been improved just over time. Some things have been improved out of necessity. But there's new idlers in it. There's new plates in it there. Yeah, the foot plates there from the seats there. One of the interesting things about the unique things about the Alpha 7 was instead of having seats on rails, it had different seats. So that was the solution for different sizes.
Thank you, sorry, Doug, I wanted to thank Velomobile Nord for that wonderful super chat sticker. I appreciate it. There's 10 euros. We appreciate the support. Okay, go ahead, Doug.
So anyway, a lot of improvements on it. Some of them are retrofittable, some of them aren't. But it still tends to evolve. It's still the lightest Velomobile in production out there. And it's been kind of polarizing in our community here. Some people love them, some people hate them. So it's going to be interesting to see as this thing evolves.
Let's back up a little bit, Trey. That's the next one there.
Yeah,
there we go.
It'll be interesting as it evolves to see how how things turn out. With the newer improvements and the stuff that they've done with it, it's up in the same class of speeds now that the DF and close to the Milan. So it's a contender.
Okay, so they've that was a foot. Let's pop that picture back up. So what I have listed, the foot plates. There's the foot plates that they've developed, I guess. The front idler, and some wheel building as well. So yeah, there's the I guess those are those the idlers.
That's the front. That's the front idler. So the wheel building is a I guess, Joseph, you could correct me if I'm wrong. It's really all of the Romanian Velomobiles get this as an update, and that they're able to build much better, much more much more intolerant wheels than they have in the past across the board. So,
well, with the Alpha 7, they are asking 10K so far. Now it's 10,100 in 2021.
And that's euros, yes?
Yeah, euros. And that's so a lot of people have been complaining about the quality of the front wheels. Because this is very essential. The faster you go, the more load, the more stress you will put up on the front wheels. So this is something that customers were really sensitive about. And so it started with a lot of complaints about the build quality of the front wheels of the Alpha 7. And now they have gotten, through the help of Velomobile Nord, actually, your sponsor here, Sven at Velomobile Nord, by the way, I think he delivers an Alpha 7 every week. So he has every reason to donate 10 extra euros to you, Gary.
Thank you, Sven.
I'll have a sandwich as well,
actually, the Alpha 7 now I think is the hottest selling Velomobile on the market, at least here in Western Europe at this point.
All right.
And I think with the new technical equipment they now have in Romania, they will not only build better wheels for the Alpha 7, but they will be building better 406 wheels altogether.
Good. Let's move along to related to the Alpha 7, and I think we're going to stay with Joseph, is the Alpha 9, which is, I guess, the next iteration. What do you know about that, Joseph? Tell us. Not yet.
Well,
that's not where we're going. I'm sorry. Yes. Just go back to the picture of the Alpha 7, if we could. That's great. That's fine. Go ahead.
Alpha 9 now?
The Alpha 9. We don't have a picture, of course.
All right. It's as of this week, news is out. Daniel Fenn himself has put it to the public that he's going to build a successor to the Alpha 7, which inevitably means that he will strive to build a faster model than the Alpha 7. But I think the more important thing about the Alpha 9 is that it will be representing a break in the Velomobile design, at least as far as Daniel Fenn, who's been responsible for, I think, most of the standard setting Velomobiles over the past years, with the Evo R series, with the DF, and with the Alpha 7. This is going to be the first one that will only take the initial shape from the After 7, which is a custom-made version of the Alpha 7, but with closed wheel arches, and then will be designed on a computer. So that will be a departure. The DF is very unique in a way that it is, the two halves of it are not totally identical because they are made by hand. They are not created on a machine, but they are shaped by hand, and so they are almost identical, but not perfectly identical, which everybody knows who has ever tried to align a front wheel perfectly into the wheel arches of both front wheels of a DF. That's not possible because these wheel arches are not 100% identical. Now, the Alpha 9 will be designed on a computer, and the original positive form will be machined out of aluminum, which also is a new approach to Velomobile design. We'll probably have around 15 different parts, and will be designed in a way to make the model or the building of an Alpha 9 as versatile, as adaptable as possible. So, for example, you will have a front piece which you can easily exchange if, for example, a different generation of front light enters the market, and you need somewhat different dimensions. You don't have to create the entire mold in a new way. You just have to create that front piece, and then you can easily adapt it to the process. Same with the rear end. You will have a rear end that you can quickly exchange for another rear end when you have sort of a new design of rear lights or other things that you want to put on the rear. Now, to make the entire process more cost effective, not to get away from the one-off type of low scale serial production to a more standardized production. So that's going to be something. Daniel believes that he will have his initial work, design work, done around April and May, so that the machining of the parts can begin. And if nothing goes wrong in that process, because he will be investing a lot of money into that, because that's obviously it's going to be more expensive than hand molding a traditional type. But if once that is done, he believes he can cut short the time between development and early stages of prototype production. So that we will see prototype production somewhere in the fall of this year.
So hopefully this year. And John, I'm going to get to you in a second. You had a question or had something to say. Also, I believe, Joseph, you mentioned something about the fact that it will fit larger riders.
Yeah.
Do you already say that?
Yeah, the idea is he told that to me. He didn't make that public, but he told that to me. It's going to be one of the ideas is to really get the really tall people to fit into that. He was talking to me about 105. That is 205 centimeters, which I don't know what is that in feet, 6'8" or something,
Yeah,
or
6'8", 6'8", 6'8",
6'8" or 6'9" or so.
Yeah.
And it will be the model with the biggest frontal area that he has ever built. He says it will have, like the After 7, it will have closed wheel wells and front. But these service hatches, so that you can take the axle out and the wheel will drop down, which I think is a necessity. Otherwise, it gets very cumbersome, as every Quest rider, like John and I, who've been riding Quests for many years, know what a pain it is to take the front wheel out of a Quest, because you have to take the entire strut out.
All right, let's go ahead to John. John, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Yeah, just one question I wanted to ask, and the reason I wanted to ask it is because I get asked it a lot on my channel, and so I was wondering how much the Alpha 9 would cost eventually, and would it be cheaper than some of the other high-end models, the most popular models like the Alpha 7, DF, etc., Milan, etc., and I was wondering whether prices would come down eventually, so it was more accessible to people who are on low budget, so they could get a fast Velomobile, which wouldn't cost them, say, starting at €10,000.
Joseph, can you respond to that? Or
well, it seems to me that once it becomes a model, which is the idea of it, to be produced in Romania, the price point has to be calculated around the Alpha 7. So I don't think it will necessarily be cheaper than that, but it won't be in the price range that now the After 7, which is sort of a custom one-off series that Daniel builds himself, which is about 50% more expensive than a standard Alpha 7. It's not going to be in that range, because there the market is simply very, very small. And like John says, you have a lot of people who'd say, yes, I'd like to ride that, but 10K, that's more than I would spend on a car.
For sure. Here's so Sven is chiming in here saying, please note we speak about a possible speed increase of 3 kilometers per hour at 180 watts for the Alpha 9 in comparison to the After 7.
Right.
Well,
right. Now that's the point. Daniel cannot build something that is not faster,
That's
in
the
his books at
trajectory
least, than what he has built before.
That's the Finn trajectory is always faster.
And that's, of course, a problem that he's been creating for himself, because the After 7 is his own personal custom series.
Right.
This is the high-end Velomobile It's a sub 20 kilo. It's around 17, 18 kilos. You can get a fully street-ready Velomobile from him, but at a hefty price. And now he's producing one that's going to be probably priced around the Alpha 7, but which will be faster than his one of a high price series. So, what's the point of buying an After 7 if you can get an Alpha 9 produced in Romania at a more affordable price?
Yeah, this is where we got to go. Go ahead, John.
I would like to see the Alpha 7, say the Alpha 7, a Milan, and a DF with the same rider in, riding a quarter of a mile or whatever as fast as they can. Because when I went to the Worlds in France, I was hoping to see actually how fast the After 7 could go compared to, the DF or whatever. And I don't know whether it was the guys who were riding the After 7s, but, in quite a few cases, the DFs were faster and some of the Milans. So, it depends.
All right, guys, we're going to have to go ahead, Doug. Finish up, though. We're going to.
Well, I guess I understood that the two things was that to your point, John, we do this all the time here because we've got all those bikes, and honestly, it's a toss up a lot of times depending on who's riding it.
Yeah.
They're so close. I mean, we're talking milliwatts of difference in streetable bikes here, because we'll get the same guy in a DF, the same in an Alpha 7, the same in the Milan, and his speeds will be about the same, on the same, rolling courses that we have around here. The other thing I was going to mention that I understand that the Alpha 9 is going to be so big, you can use the Snoek as an escape vehicle.
Escape pod.
Possibly, yes.
Perfect. All right, guys, let's move along here to what will be the last Velomobile that we're going to talk about per se. And it's a North American version. We've seen very little of those, and it's not quite in production. We're trying to focus on things that are actually in production or very close, and I'm going to put that in this category. So I was able to contact Francois Garneau from Quebec, and he is building a model called the Velomtek. And here's what he had to say. I hope to complete the commercial version of the basic VT1, which is what this is, by June of 2021. The VT1-E version will be tested thereafter. Of course, the assisted version. So basically, he's saying the selling price of the first basic VT1 will be about $8,000 Canadian, which is will be a little bit less. I'm not sure what the rate is right now. A little bit less than that in American. So, anyways, that is the Velomtek. It's a beautiful looking concept, and I know he's got the actual trike version of it, the mule, I guess, part of it going, and a lot to look at there. So I'll have the link to the Velomtek site in the description below. You guys can follow that as well for the American continent version of the Velomobile that we haven't seen for a while. So any comments quickly, guys, on that? I'm guessing none of you. Go ahead.
I will have an interview with Francois on Tuesday on Recumbent.news with some of his answers to many questions. But this is definitely more on the practical side than the speed side Velomobile. So
at first glance, to me, it looks like it is one in the range of the Orca, the desicced Orca Velomobile.
Orca or Strada or
Well, the Strada, I think, is designed for a bit more speed than this.
Yeah, this is the pop. We always call these things, because the Mulsans like this. We always call in the Orca that we always call them pop tops, and because the top pops open. There is a market in America for these. We get people that talk to us all the time that they would love to have a Velomobile, but they can't get in and out of one very easily because of some either health issue or or other thing that's keeping them from doing that. So I think this one has a really good chance of having some level of success in North America. So I'm hoping he'll get these things to market soon. I have a handful of customers that are really interested in this style.
Great. All right. Well, so we'll keep our eyes on it. And Francois looks like he's got something interesting to to bring to market hopefully soon, and we'll keep our eye on that as well. All right, I'm going to finish up the Velomobile part of this discussion with Josef, and we chatted when we were setting this up, Josef, about summing this up with where we think the design and production of Velomobiles is heading right now. So if you can briefly, as best you can, give us an idea of where you think we're headed with the design of Velomobiles these days.
Well, you know, Gary, where we come from is enthusiasts building models in small numbers on their own in little workshops, distant from each other. You know, and where we're going to, and that is Jan with his factory in Romania, is we're having a Henry Ford type of production where we have a central factory that has assembly lines where the main models are being produced in larger numbers. And that, I think, brings about a number of changes, that there is more and more pressure now to say, how can we be more economical in the way that we build? You know, since we're not sitting in this shop here and that shop over there, but we're sitting in one place, we can actually learn from each other. We can try to downsize the number of variations, the number of models, you know. Do we need to create a race hood individually for every single model of Velomobile that is being built? Or can we define certain standards so that we can start to use parts across certain models, or use parts from Series 1 to Series 2, from the Alpha 7 to the Alpha 9. When I talked to Daniel about that, he said, I will design the Alpha 9 in a way that it can perfectly use the hood developed for the Alpha 7. You know, so in order to cut down on the development effort and on the need to individually tailor certain parts of a Velomobile to a very specific model and do it all over again with the next iteration, with the next model, I think that is the way to go. We will not end soon in mass production as we see in the bicycle industry or in the automobile industry. This will always remain a niche, but I think there is much more potential to use standardized products, parts, and procedures to make the building of Velomobiles much more efficient, and eventually that should not only increase the profit margins of the handful of producers that there is, but it should also benefit the customers with more affordable prices or more Velomobile for the buck.
Very, very good summary. Economies of scale can be taken here and hopefully make them more widely available at a more reasonable price point. So, all right, that's great. Let's we're going to go to our last little segment that's kind of related, and it's about light electrical vehicles, or light electric vehicles, LEVs we call them. This is basically a type of Velomobile, and we are just going to touch on this, basically define it, and we have decided to do a show or a larger segment on these, but they kind of fit in here. So real briefly, maybe Nina, you want to, we talked a lot this past week about naming these things. Some of these are our own nomenclature, but tell us a little bit about how we divide these up, Nina.
Yeah, this is the spectrum. On the left, you have the Velomobile, which is 100% human power. Then you have the e-Velo, which is a Velomobile with electric assist. Then you have the Velev. It's the Velomobile light electric vehicle hybrid. It's sort of right in the middle. It is, you can drive it by pedal, but you can also, it's primarily powered with a battery, or primarily electric powered, but you can pedal directly into the drivetrain.
And that's like a pod ride, right?
That's the example I have there. There's more slides.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's what we call the G-Lev or the GLEV, which is a light electric vehicle that has a generator with pedal inputs. So when you pedal it, you're not powering the vehicle directly, but you can pedal into the battery as a way of charging or adding charge to the battery. And then finally, you have the light electric vehicle, which has no pedals.
All right, let's go to the next slide. So, folks, this is where we think we talk about where velomobiles are heading. This is kind of associated with that thought. Go ahead.
So we start with a streamliner, which is 2 wheels and 100% human power. Next. And then we have the Velomobile, which some people say streamliners are Velomobiles, some don't, but let's just say the Velomobile is a big category. It's fully fared, and it can have 2, 3, or 4 wheels, and it is powered by humans. Next. Then the e-Velo is just a Velomobile with electric assist. So primarily human power, or designed for human power, but you can put an electric assist in there. Next. Then the Velev, which is fared 2, 3, or 4 wheels like a Velomobile, but rather than being human powered with electric assist, it's electric power with human assist.
And we see the Electrom there. We had them on the show a few months back, and the Pod Ride that's showing up in a lot of videos. Okay.
And the Electrom is 2 wheels, correct?
That's correct. Yeah. It's a bike.
Yeah, but we're still calling it a Velev.
Mm-hmm. Because the pedals are not directly connected to the powertrain.
Right. No, they are.
They are on that.
They are.
Oh, sorry.
It's just not practical to think of this as something you're going to be primarily pedaling.
Okay.
It's just too heavy. And then the next slide. Right. So our contentious created category, the GLEV, which is the generator-assisted electric light vehicle. And this is going to be, I guess Doug should talk about this. It's important because it's going to be a regulatory category, or we need to make these distinctions because of regulations that are coming down the pipe.
Right. And Doug, go ahead and do this, but we do not want to get too deep in. We actually even had a question about it, but
we should have a whole segment on this, right?
We're going to. So yeah.
So right. I mean, so what's come out these days, and it's a great innovation, but it's going to get slammed right up against regulations. Is this concept of a decoupled drivetrain, where you're pedaling, you're powering a generator of some kind, and that's the motive force of the bike is coming off the battery stack. This is great for us. We want this to happen, but the laws everywhere are it's just gonna come down on these things until we can figure out how to communicate with the transportation planners, the transportation regulators, that this is something it's not a bike, but it's not a car either, and it needs to be treated more like a bike than a car because of the power limits.
All right, a lot more thought needs to go into this. We've had tremendous discussions amongst ourselves this week. We are going to do a show about this, and I would look forward to sharing all that and hearing what all you folks out there think about it as well. But for now, I think we're going to leave it there because we have to move along. So, panel, thank you so much, all of you, for sharing all your thoughts and ideas about the updates on the Velomobiles. It's been wonderful having all you guys with us. Great discussion. So I'm going to thank you and send you guys backstage as we continue and with the show. We have a few more segments, relatively short ones, with still some interesting things to come. First of all, I mentioned early in the show about Cyclesight. This is an unusual innovation that helps folks who are riding bikes see what's behind them. There are a few types of products like this, but I think this one is rather unique. So here's Jeff Gindin and Cyclesight. All right, guys, we are here with Jeff Gindin of Cycling Designs, and he's going to tell us about a new product that they have developed called Cyclesight. Hello, Jeff.
Hi, how are you?
I'm just doing great. So this is an interesting product, and we're going to talk a little bit about what it is and how it might specially relate to recumbents today. So first of all, can you tell us a little bit about Cyclesight?
Cyclesight was born out of an experience that I had right after I attempted retirement, where I was riding in a very rural area. The road merged with a lot of trucks and narrowed down. And I said to myself, why can't cyclists have what Nissan had in the 90s with a heads-up display? And that's how it started many years ago.
Tell me a little bit about the product itself. Describe it for me.
The concept is pretty simple. Rear-facing camera that transmits to a 3.5-inch LCD display that's mounted on the handlebars. That provides information to the cyclist to be able to know what's going on around them, what the technologists call situational awareness. One of the keys to this is the fact that it records. So if you do get hit, you'll have a recording to have as evidence. So the camera's on the seat post, and it's the simpler of the two devices. It simply, transmits. The display receives it and writes out to the SD card and does all the displaying as well. There are no wires. It's all wireless, and it will handle the distance, from front to back of a recumbent Velomobile type rig.
There are other alternatives to the Cyclesight product out there, and I was wondering if you might share a little bit of your comparison on what's out there and why Cyclesight is a better choice.
Sure. The first product that's out there is a Garmin Varia, and it uses radar. So you get blinking lights on your top tube device. It doesn't tell you how far back they are, except with the intensity of the lights. And you can't tell what lane they're in. There isn't, and the other thing about the Varia is it does not provide a recording. So you don't have a visual of what's behind you, and you don't have a recording. There is another product called Cyclic, which is a rear-facing bike light with a recording in it. So you get a recording, but no feedback at all. So obviously the third one is mirrors, which a lot of people don't use because they don't work. There's a narrow field of vision. You're bouncing your head around trying to see behind you correctly.
Now, recumbents are known for having a lot of different configurations, obviously, and I know you're set up to go with regular upright bikes, but for recumbents, there may need to be some specific changes made to the way that it's mounted.
Yeah, there's two issues. One is the size of the mount, and the other is vertical versus horizontal, which in some cases is in addition to what upright bikes would have. So yes, we are working on it. We'll have it completed by the time we start delivering to recumbents.
Let's talk very specifically now about the product and its specifications.
Sure. The display is a 3.5-inch diagonal display. It has buttons that allow you to alter the brightness and contrast. For those people riding in nighttime situations, they'll have to turn down the brightness actually. But there is contrast and there is brightness so you can see it. In direct sunlight, it's possible to get a little bit of a washout, but you'll still be able to see. We get asked all the time about batteries, and there's a battery for the display and a battery for the camera. And fortunately, we've been able to spec out the exact same battery for both. They last about 3 hours, and we have an option where you can buy an extra set of batteries because they're swappable.
These are rechargeable batteries.
Yes, they're rechargeable. They're the same or similar to the batteries that go into electric cars.
Jeff, let's get to the nitty-gritty here. Can you tell us about when this product is going to be available and what the pricing will be?
Well, you can order on the website, www.cyclingdesigns.com. It'll be a pre-order because we won't be able to deliver until Q2. The prototypes have been worked on and tested, and we're ready to go. I mean, we just have to, suffer through all of what Elon Musk calls production hell, and we'll have the product.
So for those that wish to do a pre-order in anticipation of the second quarter arrival, are there any special deals you offer?
Yes, it's $30 off. The list price is $299. It's $30 off until we start delivering.
Well, Jeff, thank you so much for coming on the Laidback Bike Report and sharing the new product of Cyclesight coming up in the second quarter. We look forward to seeing that product get out in the wild, and I wish you a lot of success with that. Thanks a lot.
Gary, thank you so much, and so much for your thoughts and having us on. I appreciate it.
You bet.
Thank you.
All right, Jeff Gindin, thanks for that video. Let's move along now. All I'm going to say about this next video is it has Doug Davis, an inner tube, and a pair of scissors. If you have small children in the household, please avert their eyes. And Larry, let's play this.
This is Doug with Bicycle Evolution, and this is one of our series in road fixes for you. These are things we can do on the road without special tools and with stuff you probably have or stuff lying around. So the first one we're going to do today is a catastrophic tube failure. What do you do when you have a catastrophic tube failure on the road and in such a way that your patch kit probably isn't going to work, or that you don't, or you left, like me, you left your patch kit at home or something like that? So here we go. Let's talk about this. Right now we have our nice, pretty shiny Sprint X Ice Trike here. This tube is ready to go in this bike, and so we're going to make it not ready to go right quick. Okay, so we got the tube out of the tire. This tube's in good shape at the moment, but we're going to make it less than good shape here in a second. This is a very typical butyl rubber tube, and it's about to have a catastrophic failure. I don't think you're going to fix that with your patch kit. So now, how do you get home with this, with your patch kit? It's easy. You tie a knot in it. So look at this. Now, grant you're not going to get hundreds of miles on this anymore. In fact, you're probably not going to get even 100 miles on it. But it will, in fact, hold air. And this will get you home. Which is the secret to this. We got our knot done. The secret to making it hold, though, is to get it pulled tight enough so it holds air. So to do that, we're going to step on it and just pull it as tight as we possibly can. Because you want to make sure that sucker is tight, because that should have been, or it should hold air at least through the whole trip home. So we can check it with our pump. Make sure it holds air for us. Not the prettiest thing, but it's holding air. Okay, now we're back up to the bike. We're going to put our tube that we've did a little bit of magic on back in and seat it. So we'll get the stem set in. Now, this is now no longer a 20-inch tube. It is going to be something closer to an 18. So we have a perfectly good 18-inch tube now. So in order to get it on a 20-inch rim, we're going to have to stretch it a little bit. You're not going to get hundreds of miles out of this. You're only going to get home, but that's the whole point, is that we were able to fix this and get ourselves home with it. So now we just got to stretch it all the way around, hook it onto the rim, and then hook our tire on it as well. And we are off to the races, as they say. Although you will feel a little bit of a bump as you're riding along with this knot in here. But again, not trying to get hundreds of miles, just trying to get home in time for dinner. And unfortunately, I think every year Swabe makes its tires a little smaller, and or the rims are getting bigger, just like my waistband. And so this takes a little bit more effort to get on than it should. We're going to use our tire levers here and just leverage it on a little bit at a time until it's all done. With this fad for tubeless on tires these days, everybody wants their wire beads to be as tight, or Kevlar beads to be as tight as possible. And so it just makes it that much more fun to fit. So there you go. Wheel is on. Tire is mounted on the rim. Our knot's right about there. And our stem is over here. So we're going to get some air. And I'm going to use the shop air here, so you're not watching 10 minutes of me pumping this up with a field pump, but rather a few seconds of me just putting air in it, and up it'll go. So there you go. We are ready to go home.
All right. Honestly, Doug, that's a great job. Folks, you know, we aim for honesty and transparency here. I could have edited out most of the lever part going on as Doug struggled there, but I wanted you to know how he did it, and he managed. So if he can do it, anyone can. Doug, great segment. We look forward to the next Fix It on the Road segment from you next month. All right, let's move along now to Nina Paley, Bicycle of the Future. Larry, hit that.
Hey,
what do you got for us today, Nina?
All right, I have this book, Human Power, The Forgotten Energy. Also, I need to click a few things to look at my notes. So I got a tip that this was available once again from the British Human Power Club. That's bhpc.org. It was $20 US, it's 12 pounds. And it covers the earliest streamliners, including those on uprights, such as Oscar Eggs. It has a great history of the Moshes, Charles and George. Lots about George Moshe. And yeah, if we're talking about the Moshes, this is the early history of the Recumbent, the famous, excellent recumbents that got banned by the UCI. George Moshe, the younger Moshe, was actually very active in human-powered vehicles in his later years. The focus of this book is on Europe, so it was enlightening for me. Really, the author just occasionally refers to the Californians. Oh yeah, so it covers Mike Burrows, and I think this copy was actually sent to me by Mike Burrows, so I took a photograph of my customs declaration as a souvenir. It has many bicycles of the future from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, which is the period I'm really interested in because that was a period of just incredible innovation and development of recumbents and the beginnings of velomobiles. I don't think Easy Racers was mentioned, but Fast Freddie Markham was. There's a lot of discussion about organizing races and communities by mail. All of this development took place before the internet and mostly before computer-aided design. So it was really interesting to read about how people found each other back then. There was a lot of design by trial and error. And he discusses the importance of racing for bicycle and velomobile development. He has stories about racers, race promoters, and organizers. And in a lot of the stories, many of the designers also raced. And the cover reminds us that our time here is fleeting, right? This is the bike of the future, and you have these, not young guys from, I guess this is from the late 90s when it was published, taking a look at these future bikes from the past, because the bike of the future becomes the bike of the past in the blink of an eye. So in our short lives, let's contribute whatever we can while we can to these marvelous machines. And before I sign off, I just want to say about Velomobiles that my Velomobile has changed my life. I'm not a racer. I don't care. It's extended my riding season. It lets me ride on windy days. It lets me ride in colder weather than I ever thought was possible. Really, to some extent, it lets me ride all year long. It has changed everything. So yay, Velomobiles. Thanks.
Yay. And yeah, that's great. Thank you, Nina. And yeah, the British Human Power Club is a great organization. You can subscribe to them. I think it's like $10 a year or something, and they have a quarterly publication that you can get, of course, online if you're not there in the UK. It's really well written, lots of interesting stuff. So they're a great organization, and I think John is a member there as well. So, all right, Nina, why don't you remind folks before we leave you quickly about sending you tell them what you'd like them to send you if they are able to send you pictures or information about the time period you're interested in.
Oh, I think I'm good now. I think I'm full up. I've got another project that I'm working on. The Bike of the Future animation is on the back burner right now, where it needs to be. And I am set for research. I have some great interviews with Fast Freddy, and it's just simmering back there for a while.
All right. Yay, Nina. There's the comment. That's what a lot of us are thinking. So, okay. Thanks a lot, Nina Paley. All right, folks, let me thank our sponsors of the Laidback Bike Report one more time who make this all possible. First of all, it is TerraCycle. From fairings to headrests, whatever accessory you need, Pat and crew have you covered. And Trailside Trikes. If you find yourself in Florida near the Withlacoochee Trail or in Knoxville, Tennessee, check out Andrew's shop and his amazing crew. And Cruise Bike. Their patented race and record-proven front-wheel drive geometry changes the rules of cycling. Now, comfort doesn't come at the cost of performance, but fair warning, your cheeks may hurt from smiling. And TerraTrike Green Speed. Your vision, whatever it is, TerraTrike has a trike to take you there. And Green Speed cutting-edge designs create performance through Aussie ingenuity. And Laidback Cycles, the top USA dealer for TerraTrike and the premier source for CatTrike, Ice, and Green Speed. We give you the freedom to ride. And Recumbent CycleCon. Please join us at the 2021 Recumbent CycleCon trade show and convention. It will be held October 9th and 10th at the Montgomery County Fairgrounds in Dayton, Ohio. For more information, check out recumbentcyclecon.com. All right, folks, we're going to finish up with a short viewer submission. Here it is, and we'll show the slides if we can with it. Hey, Gary, you were kind enough to reply to a recent comment I made on your turning old upright bikes into classic bents video with A.D. Carson of Recycle Recumbents. So I wanted to send you a couple of pics of my new Recycle Recumbent Orange E-Crush bike. There it is. That's a beauty right there. It has a Cali Bike 1500 watt rear hub motor with a 52 volt 10 amp hour battery pack. I'm still getting used to riding it, and the more I do, the more I like it. Regards, Rick Noe. And I know Rick is with us. I saw him chiming in on the live chat. So hello, Rick. That's a great story. I'm glad you're enjoying riding that nice long wheelbase. All right, guys, a reminder. So if you have pictures or accomplishments that you have achieved, you want to share with us at the Laidback Bike Report, send them to laidbackbikereport@gmail.com, and we'll see if we can add that to our viewer segment. So, all right, just a couple of announcements here. Basically, our next Laidback Bike Report is the announcement, and there's Larry advertising for Green Speed. The next Laidback Bike Report is going to be March 14th at 2 p.m., back to our regular 2 p.m. Eastern time. And it's to be announced. We're working on quite a few interesting things for you. We'll keep you updated on Facebook and the website for that. So how can you support the Laidback Bike Report? If you liked what we did today and what our shows have brought you in the past, please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and you can learn more about us right there on that little white eye. It will take you to our website where you can find all the pertinent details about the Laidback Bike Report. You can hit the applause button right down there on the YouTube site and send us $1 or $2 that way. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Hopefully you'll give us thumbs up on that. And probably the best way to support us is through Patreon. We have picked up 3 new Patreon patrons this past month. Daryl Coral, Terry Feinberg, who was on the chat. Thank you, Terry. And John Blumhagen as well. So thanks to all our Patreon patrons. You can see them here. We put their pictures when we can are right over here on the screen behind us, and they are what makes the show keep going. So thank you, guys. All right, let's bring the panelists and guests back up on stage for a final thank you before we say goodbye. Let's see who we got with us. Guys, that was just a fantastic show and so much great information. You know, this is just wonderful, well appreciated. We have lots of people watching live. So thank you all for joining us today on the Laidback Bike Report and sharing your wonderful knowledge of Velomobiles today. So with that, we're going to say goodbye and thank all of you, our wonderful viewers, for watching the Laidback Bike Report again this month. So until our next webcast, for all of us here at the Laidback Bike Report, so long, bent riders.